Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With FishingBooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. FishingBooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to FishingBooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.
Hey, it's Bill Simmons from the Bill Simmons Podcast. Games get 10 times better when Michelob Ultra is on the line, so race to the bottom of a slope. Winner gets an Ultra. Or enter at MichelobUltra.com/Ultra Instructor for a chance to win tickets to the hottest sporting events of 2026. Michelob Ultra, Ultra Instructor, no purchase necessary. Open to U.S. residents 21 plus. Begins on January 30th, 2026. Ends on February 22nd, 2026. See official rules at MichelobUltra.com/rules for free entry deadlines, prizes, and details.
Howdy, folks, and welcome to the Hunting Stories Podcast, The Hunter's Brief. I'm your host, Michael, and I apologize for missing last week's. My studio flooded. But this is the show where we break down what's actually happening in the world of hunting, wildlife, conservation, and public lands, without the outrage bait or recycled talking points. Quick reminder before we dive in, we're also going to expand a little bit this year, so tell me or give me feedback as you see these episodes coming through. But the brief, we're going to go a little bit beyond straight news. You'll still get the headlines that matter, but we're also bringing you interviews with people that maybe who aren't hunters but have something important to speak about in regards to hunters, historical deep dives on how today's wildlife policies came to be, an occasional story from the past that might still shape the woods we walk in today. But this week, this is news. So in this episode, we talk about ballot boxes, boundary lines, and who gets to decide the future of hunting. Let's get into it. Let's start with some good news. New Hampshire moves to make hunting a constitutional right. Lawmakers in New Hampshire advanced a proposed constitutional amendment that would explicitly protect the right to hunt and fish and harvest wildlife using traditional methods. The measure, debated in the state legislature this week, would still allow wildlife regulation but prevent outright bans driven by ballot initiatives or shifting political winds. Similar amendments already exist in more than 20 states, and supporters argue that it is about preserving science-based wildlife management, while opponents claim it's unnecessary and symbolic. But this matters to hunters because once hunting is protected at the constitutional level, it becomes far harder to ban through emotional ballot measures. This is a proactive defense, not reactive politics. Think of it as putting your rifle in a safe instead of leaving it leaning against the truck. And now the opposite. Oregon activists are pushing a ballot measure to ban all hunting, fishing, and trapping. In stark contrast, right, the activists in Oregon officially filed a petition to place a sweeping ban on all hunting, all fishing, and trapping on a future statewide ballot. The proposal would criminalize nearly all forms of wildlife harvest, along with many agricultural and predator control practices. Organizers framed the initiative as an animal rights measure, while wildlife agencies and conservation groups warned it would dismantle the North American model of wildlife conservation in the state of Oregon. This matters because it's not a symbolic protest. It's a test case. If a total ban makes the ballot in one state, it becomes a temptation nationwide. Because once ballot boxes start managing wildlife, biology tends to lose their vote. The House votes advance mining near the boundary waters. The U.S. House voted this week to roll back federal protection near the boundary water canoe area wilderness, reopening the door for sulfide ore copper mining upstream of one of the most pristine freshwater systems in North America. Supporters argue the move strengthens domestic mineral production and economic development. However, opponents warn that sulfide mining carries unavoidable risks of acid mine drainage that could permanently damage lakes, rivers, and wild rice habitat. This matters because hunters and anglers, well, clean water it's not an optional habitat. It's not optional for habitat. Once it's gone, there is no reclamation plan. Bring back the fisheries or the waterfowl marshes. All of it is gone. Turns out the leave no trace doesn't mean open pit mines. For this one, guys, I implore you, however you feel about it, one way or the other, to reach out to your senators, your congressmen, you reach out to all of your elected officials and let them know how you feel. Howl.org is a great way to do that. Check out their website, and they basically do it all for you. All you got to do is put in your information. It'll even make phone calls for you. Then you just got to say how you feel. It's pretty amazing stuff. Let them know how you feel about this one, guys. States split on who controls wildlife policy, legislatures or ballots. Across the country, lawmakers are grappling with whether wildlife policies should be set by professional agencies or direct-to-voter ballot initiatives. New Hampshire's proposal and Oregon's petition highlight a growing national divide. Groups like Congressional Sportsman Federation warn that ballot-box biology often ignores science, funding models, and long-term consequences. For hunters, this is a big picture. Right? Wildlife doesn't manage well under slogans. It manages well under data, season, and enforcement. We wouldn't let a town hall vote set aircraft maintenance standards, right? Wildlife deserves the same respect. Western states see renewed push for predator policy reform. Several Western legislatures introduced bills in late January aimed at clarifying predator management authority, particularly around wolves and mountain lions. Lawmakers cite increasing conflict between rural communities, wildlife agencies, and activist pressure campaigns. None of these bills remove protection outright, but many seek to reinforce state authority over federal influence. This matters because predator policy is becoming the pressure point where federal power, state management, and public opinion collide. And pressure points always crack somewhere. Hey hunters, have you ever had one of those stories, the ones that you didn't want to tell, the ones that end in failure? Yeah, I've been there. Actually, you know what? The culprit for me usually is bad optics, or worse, lack of using my optics at all. Picture this. I spot a trophy buck, or an antelope, or an elk, whatever it may be. My heart is racing, but the blurry view, or I just can't quite identify exactly what I'm looking at, it has me second guessing. Well, that's where Vortex Optics comes in. With crystal clear glass and rugged durability, Vortex gives you the confidence to take the shot. Don't let poor optics ruin your story. Make every moment count. Upgrade to Vortex and turn your hunting tales into triumphs. Visit vortexoptics.com today.
The world moves fast. Your workday, even faster. Pitching products, drafting reports, analyzing data. Microsoft 365 Copilot is your AI assistant for work. Built into Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and other Microsoft 365 apps you use. Helping you quickly write, analyze, create, and summarize. So you can cut through clutter and clear a path to your best work. Learn more at Microsoft.com/M365 Copilot.
Poaching enforcement nets multi-state violations. Wildlife agencies across multiple states reported coordinated poaching busts tied to illegal interstate transport of deer and elk parts. Officials emphasized disease prevention, particularly chronic wasting disease, as a key driver behind tougher enforcement. Fines, license revocations, and multi-year bans were all issued in several different cases. And this matters to ethical hunters because poachers don't just steal animals, they threaten seasons, spread disease, and hand ammunition to anti-hunting groups. There's nothing old school about ruining it for everyone else. Public land access expansion faces funding questions. Several funding land agencies announced new access corridors and seasonal openings for hunting and fishing, but quietly acknowledged staffing and enforcement shortfalls. Conservation groups caution that access without boots on the ground leads to abuse, habitat damage, and conflict. Hunters overwhelmingly support access, but many also support paying for it. This matters because unlocking gates means nothing if the land behind them collapses under pressure. Access is only freedom if it lasts. Several European nations reopened debates over predator and wildlife harvest bans after raising livestock losses and rural backlash. While not directly affecting the U.S. policy, these debates mirror American tensions between urban voters and rural realities. Some countries are considering limited harvests as a conservation tool. What a wonderful idea. It sounds a little bit like the North American model of conservation. Well, this matters because the global trend is clear. Ignoring rural voices eventually forces course correction. Biology always gets the last word, even if politics pretends otherwise. That's it for this week's Hunter's Brief, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you care about hunting, conservation, and public lands, being guided by science instead of slogans, stay engaged, because ballot boxes don't care about carrying capacity. Make sure you're subscribed, share the episode with someone who thinks that hunting is still just a hobby, and tune in Monday for our long-form storytelling episodes. Until next time, guys, hunt ethically, defend wildlife management, and leave the land better than you found it. Thank you.